watch this
and be embarrassed mostly.
And be embarrassed. MixLife. I don't know. We're like 68. That's crazy.
Something like that.
We're not up around like a Joe Rogan 1100. That's how you know you've been doing it a lot. But 68's noble. I'll take it. Not bad. We didn't.
We got at least we got at least one. Oh, 2 viewers now. Yeah, no, we're good.
I think we outlasted beginner blending and some other shows.
To 3. Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Life is good. I've been creating kind of a patio out front, so it's been my focus. It's been like designing a patio, and then we're in like hurricane season, so that's kind of at the back of the mind. Is just like get through this year. We're leaving nice and early. Like we're just gonna bug out.
Yeah, it can't. I mean, statistically, hopefully it's nothing like last year, but yeah, that was rough. You never want to be in a hotel room again, right?
Not with 6 other people. A dog and a cat. That was too much. It's fun for like 5 days, and then you hate it for like the rest.
We should just give Florida back to Spain. You'd be cool with that, right?
Yeah, I'll move to Colorado.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Well, I'm from there, and I like it. It's great. It's my kind of town. Denver area and the mountains. It's good. Like the whole West. Like you guys live on the West Coast. Like that's where I would live. I just had my kids in Florida, and then I got divorced in Florida. So then I'm here in Florida. So I'll retire to the West.
Hey, man, the West Coast is where it's at. Everybody assumes that it's all like big cities and stuff, like stuffed up and down I-5. But the cool thing about states being fairly large is if you want to get out in the middle of nowhere, you can still benefit from most of the vaguely sane laws and live in the middle of nowhere like I do. Like, it works out pretty well.
You know, with the way Amazon and the grocery shopping stuff is going.
Dude, I couldn't, like, it's funny because we moved out to the middle of nowhere for the girlfriend to finish up her PhD, right? And I don't think I could have done this like 25 years ago before Netflix and Amazon and all this other stuff. Like, really, I live in a remote location, but I have like every single weird convenience in life. It's a very strange situation to be in.
Concrete River broadcasting from a remote location, folks.
Need to get myself an abandoned missile silo just to go full on weirdo.
Have you ever watched those? There's some in Florida, actually. But like, I'll get lost in these stupid things. These like the Urban Explorer.
Yeah. People wander around like old abandoned factories and missile silos and all sorts of other stuff.
There's one. It was a Russian space shuttle, which is a crazy video. And they're in Russia, and then they're like breaking into a Russia NASA type of place, and it's got the space shuttle, and then they're breaking into the space shuttle thing, and they're in like the cockpit of it, and then like soldiers show up. So now they're hiding in this cockpit of this shuttle in this thing, and there's like soldiers but they don't know they're there. They're just kind of like touring through. Yeah, Detroit's a good one too, for sure.
Yeah, see, like I never really grew up with that because like I grew up like on the West Coast really, and then kind of moved up more to a slightly more populated area like around high school and lived up through there, and like everybody just snaps up like the real estate as soon as something closes. Like you don't have big abandoned buildings and stuff. It's like an entirely different culture where you just have like these ruins of things standing like out like where I was living. Like everything is valuable enough that it just gets torn down and something new gets built right off the jump, gets turned into condos.
Yep, that's how it is here too. Like when something goes out of business, they just rip it down and rebuild. So yeah, I'm not I've not grown up around that too much. I mean, you go to Miami, shit's all tore up, but not like where factories and things are just like ruins, like you said, where the city looks dead almost. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's not like the Midwest where, you know, you had these huge factories close and then just nobody did anything with them because the economy was depressed in the area.
Speaking of dilapidated things, I got into like a rabbit hole of it's called Dismal, like DIS, I think Dismal Land, something like that, and then a Defunct Land.
Yeah,
and they're like stories of Disney rides and why they failed, or like why a theme park failed, things like that. But it's very intriguing, like just to see the whole case put together. They're cool.
Have you ever seen Dan Bell's series on abandoned shopping malls?
I don't think so, but
Yeah,
that sounds good.
yeah. If you look for it, the editing's actually super interesting too. Like it's like visually interesting to watch. He does a bunch of cool shit, but he like tours a whole bunch of either dead or dying shopping malls in the middle of America. It's kind of horrifying.
Yo, have you ever been in one that's like done, like maybe like 4 or 5 shops left? Like,
yeah,
there was one in St. Pete, Tampa area when I was living up there, and it was like the whole bottom floor was dark because there was no open shops anymore, and there was like an ice skating rink, and all the escalators would be like kept off, and then there's like a CD store, and like so it's turned almost like flea market-ish with like a couple shops, but like very eerie type of stuff for sure.
Yeah, so before I went to high school, like the ancestral hometown is a little tiny used to be a logging town down on the Washington coast, right? And it basically just, the economy started to go to hell like back in the 70s, and they started closing like paper mills and shit. But they have the South Shore Mall down there, and they built it on swampland. So like my entire childhood, and then like the couple times I went back to visit and actually went to the mall, like the mall is literally slowly sinking into the ground. And like when they talk about anchor stores in a mall, you're talking about like the big department stores on either end that like are supposed to prop up all the stores in between. Like they're literally anchor stores at that. Because everything else is like going down in the middle.
Yeah, they just closed the Sears. They just like 3 days ago they announced like 100 Sears closings, and then one of them's the mall here. So, and that's been around since I was a kid. You know, so it's slowly going away. Amazon's killing everything. And that was, what is that? It's a Electric Dreams episode. The Amazon episode. Did you watch that one with the packages?
Yeah.
It's about right.
Yeah, no, it's basically where everything's headed. Shout out to our new corporate overlord, Jeff Bezos.
The commander of Earth.
Yeah, the guy who basically owns all of Seattle now. It's kind of horrifying.
I watched the new DJI Mavic 2 video, and they've got this one scene where it's like, people track is perfect to keep track of your subjects in view, and the video's fucking these red heat seek around the people's bodies, and I was like, that wasn't developed for non-military use. Like,
yeah, there's no way that's going to be misused.
I remember for me the most horrifying thing I think I've ever seen was the Lady Gaga Super Bowl halftime show, when the drones formed a American flag out of like 500 US little drone things, running a program to like perfectly line up in a flag. And I was like, that's scary as hell.
Yeah, that's like some dystopian shit. Like, we should not be excited that that's happening for entertainment.
Yeah, like these are swarms of drones that are like bees. Like, this isn't going to end well.
We've seen the future, and it's terrible.
Alfred pudding.
Yeah, no, it's completely plausible. It's fine. Don't worry about it. You know what we're here for vaping. So let's get rid of all of our problems by ingesting huge amounts of nicotine.
I am doing. There's a girlfriend challenge. It's a graham cracker, and then she wanted honey, and I messed it up and went too heavy with the honey, and so this is my version of it, which is like a Nick Salt, Flavor West graham cracker, Capella graham cracker, and then like spices. So I've made one that's like graham cracker heavy, but really there's like a golden grams controversy going on in the vape world about some golden gram vape product, and Legion was going to show up at the vape shop and show up at the convention because it's like it's like a 1-to-1 copy of golden grams package, right? So they're mad at the convention, whatever, but it inspired me to make a golden grams recipe. So I got inspired by the controversy, and I was like, well, I bet I can make a good golden gram thing. So it's kind of that. It's like a graham cracker. It's where, so I'm focused on the graham cracker and then kind of just building that. So instead of getting lost in other spots, it's just sort of an exercise in the graham cracker. And that's what my version is. 33 milligram Nick Salt. So looking forward to that. I like Nude Nicotine Nick Salt better than Nicotine River. And I tried their Nick Salt, and I like Nude Nicotine better.
Do you get any like serious harshness out of the Nude Nicotine stuff? Because like I got one batch, and I swear it was probably a bad batch, but it was basically unvapable for me, and that was kind of the end of me in Nude Nicotine.
I bet you got the hit one. You ordering the smooth or just freebase Nick?
I was just ordering the smooth variation. It came in smelling like day old tuna, and it was not fun.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know. It's hard. The whole nicotine salt in general is like, anytime you're gonna test a new product, it's like you know, the bath salt bullshit. You know, or the spice epidemic thing. You know, those are gas station. You are the beta tester there of that drug. So with nicotine salt, you kind of have to appreciate the fact that you're breaking new ground and testing it with your body,
which is really the only fun way to test things.
I mean, you're basically trusting Grant to have your full safety in mind with his nicotine salt formulation, and then a company called Nude Nicotine to be it's like Trenchcoat Productions is not the place where you're going to get your modeling career started, honey.
Hey, I don't get paid. I do it for exposure, man.
It's for exposure. I know the right people, Concrete.
I don't. Yeah, South Florida, you probably do.
Get this guy an orange, and get that shirt off him instead. We're gonna make you a star.
We gotta catch it just dripping right off. Have you tried Vape Train Honeycomb? Apparently, Alpha Pudding thinks it could work for golden grams.
I don't know. That's a strange flavor, and I did. There's a note in it that I almost got a like you could almost work with that and maybe something corn and come up with like a corn pop or a honeycomb cereal, right? Because honeycomb has like a fake honey.
Well, it's supposed to be a golden syrup toffee flavor. Like it's a lighter toffee flavor. It doesn't have like those heavy burnt notes. And apparently the actual like honeycomb toffee is kind of like light and fluffy, as opposed to like really hard and dense. So I could totally see that working in there. It's a good flavor. It's just like I've seen it used a couple times as like a honey flavor, and it doesn't work that way. It's a bakery.
Let's see, we got some really good updates on the website. If you are not using e-juice makers in your DIY mixing world, you're messing up. We're just going to keep adding stuff to the site. It's free. It'll stay free. Just buy our one-shots. Support us. But we have a lot better structure to the site now, and adding articles. So there's a really good article by Koppel on how to do a apple pie, and it's funny because that apple pie he did this article on ended up being like a best-selling one-shot at Chefs. So it's really a good essay to read on how to design something that's a best-selling one-shot. And there's also 10 ID10T's recipes that he loves that are mostly like Reddit. But if you don't use Reddit, it's a good way to find some sleeper recipes.
Yeah, that post reminded me I should probably make some more recipes that were good. Get a little lost in the sauce with all the flavor testing.
You've been just resting on your laurels. You're like Roman Emperor with that DIY or die win.
Hey, I've been focusing on flavor tests.
I'm surprised your flavor notes didn't just go to I like it. Don't like it.
That's been it. I mean, that's been kind of the like I felt like they were kind of trending that way. Like it got super dry to me. So one of the things that I've actually liked about writing them on my own site is that I feel perfectly comfortable just losing the plot and ranting or like coming at it from a different conceptual angle, just anything to basically entertain myself because I got kind of bored just cranking out the same things.
Yeah, well, so if history of YouTube has taught us anything, it is to plow through your boredom and just keep doing it. Because there's all kinds of YouTube stars that gave up, and all they had to do is just keep doing their boring ass daily updates. Like Philip DeFranco has to have been tired a long time ago of talking about what happened this week. But that it breaks off, it pops. Like vaping's not going to get less popular. People are not going to stop wanting to have cheaper vaping options, right? The one shot is not going to stop being a great option for people that don't want to buy from the vape shops, but also don't want to do DIY. So all the markets that we're in are babies. So there's definitely going to be a dip, right? We're in the dip, which is like e-juice makers was born in the death dip of the first vaping boom. But if you look at trends of the way things boom, it'll come back bigger, and we're going to be positioned right. So yeah, right now it's like it's death for all the early adopters, where like the startup brands that have been running things for 5, 6, 7, 8 years are not going to make it. Every one of those fucking FDA letters that went out to those companies that were child appealing, every single one of those products got pulled from the shelves. So apparently if you get an FDA letter, you don't even bother to respond. You just pull your product as fast as you can. So,
yeah.
So that's the Coca or the grape soda bottle one. Remember that?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was kid appealing. I thought it was an interesting concept. It was way too much money to spend on packaging, was what I thought. I was like, that's a waste of packaging.
Well, when your recipe is like 20% Flavor West with no actual variation, or what I'm saying, like you got the extra money to splash out for fancy packaging, more people are going to notice that than people actually giving a damn about the recipe.
Yeah, I don't know. But they're all gone, folks. So if you're a fan of any of those that got pinged, they're off the shelf. Which has got to be, I guess, they made them change their labels like twice. And there's the new stupid this fucking nicotine label. Like, I'm not putting that on shit. I'm not putting that stupid, this is a nicotine product. I will argue. I'd rather argue with you that I'm not a nicotine product. And I don't encourage the use of nicotine. I want you to vape 0 milligram and quit vaping. Like, and that's always the final position of us. So this whole ridiculous, like, it's because the FDA is trying to get jurisdiction over shit they have no right to be messing with, like the hardware, like the flavoring. like the raw ingredients, like the raw nicotine. Those are all things that they don't technically have jurisdiction over with their tobacco. Well, I mean, I guess the raw nicotine they would, but the rest of it is a stretch. You know, so making them change the labels on their whole brand costs money. So it's all designed to just like keep everybody circling instead of moving forward. Xanax tastes like that's a good one.
Some forget-me-nows. No, Shindo and I are going to bring out an entire line based on SoundCloud rappers. It was his idea, but I say we run with it.
But then what you do is you put their face on the bottle, and then you just sell it to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you cross-brand, and you get them to get a face tattoo with the brand name, too. So it's integration with your marketing platform. It's global solutions for a global world.
Well, you call it white syrup, right? And you use all these idiot rappers with the tattoo faces, and then you don't put any nicotine in it, and you just put in like a little Alterna, and then you sell it for $50.
Well, okay, so life-wise, there's a garnet mine around here, right?
Nice.
Like I'm going somewhere with this. So there's a garnet mine around here, but like they're all little tiny garnets. Like gemstones aren't nearly as rare as they make you think. The problem is finding big ones that you can cut. So
right.
I now have a surplus of little tiny garnets, like maybe the size of like the big ones are maybe the size of like the top of a pen cap. Like they're not big garnets, but I'm just going to start putting garnets in my one shots. I've discovered that.
You should bedazzle them to your mod.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Are we making Krayshawn jokes here?
Yeah, that's Shindo's favorite artist. He's seen her twice.
I think she's been out in public twice in the last 5 years.
Yeah, he flew to see her.
Man, back before I sobered up, I really liked a lot of bad rap music.
Who's the other one? That's Kesha. That's
Kesha was never rap though, and like Kesha had an entire thing with Dr. Luke that feels really weird to talk about. So
I like that Jerry Seinfeld wanted to hug her. You ever see that video where he just like shows like he's on the red carpet and he's doing an interview and she comes up from like the peripheral. Yeah. And she's like, "Oh my God, I love you. Can I have a hug?" And he goes, "No. No, I'm okay, thanks. No, I'm okay." And she like backs away all shamed and shit. I was like, yeah, well played.
See, the people in the chat are all about my bedazzled garnet box. That's what I need to do. I need to get a Hammond box and just facet in a whole bunch of little tiny garnets and use it to lord over other people. Are we going to have to start going back to Hammond boxes? Apparently those new tariffs are hitting.
Yeah, so in other news, they shut down backdoor.com, which has financially ruined Shindo's mother. He's doing the best he can to help her survive in a brand new cardboard box down on Fifth Avenue and Chinatown area. I don't know. But we all want to wish Shindo's mom a quick recovery. And hopefully there'll be a new website she can start working on quick.
This is where we are. Not only can you put glitter in your juice, I recommend it. If you use the edible gold flake, you could probably sell it for about 10 times more. Fucking garnets and gold flake and all sorts of other fun stuff. We're talking fucking premium here. It's just going to be a bottle of Cap Super Sweet with gold flake and garnets in it, and I'm going to sell it for $200 for 30 mils.
MixLife 68. How can I make my juice more gay? Well, Concrete says add garnets.
Yeah.
Bedazzle your mod, folks.
I've got a surplus of garnets. If anybody wants to buy them at inflated prices, hit me up.
So in theory, the cotton will stop the glitter. Okay, so technically, you could put glitter in the juice, and it won't be vaped.
I mean, it depends on how you're dripping. Like if you're dripping right down the top, you'll get some actual.
You can't drip. You can't drip. You'd have to do like a tank.
Okay.
With like a
fine mesh screen to keep the glitter out.
I think the only thing you can vape glitter in is a smoke tank.
I'm pretty sure they already sell a smoke tank with glitter in it. It just comes pre-filled with glitter, and then you pay $12 for a new bag of glitter to put in.
And your mod has to have some crazy light up stuff built into it.
I'm seriously, I think I want to go back to Hammond box vaping. Like I need to make a whole bunch of super janky Hammond box dual parallel mech mods and just call it a day.
/ guitars.
Yeah.
/ 3-string can guitar and vape.
I'm just going to start building vapes into guitars so that way you can rip a fat vape while you rip a fat solo.
Now, what I'm interested in actually is the WizMech waterproof wireless Bluetooth speaker and box mod.
It just seems like why do so many things poorly at the same time? I guess that's the thing I don't get about modern technology.
So it's actually a very useful beach device, right? Nothing else. Everything else it's ridiculous for. But when you go to the beach, there's a 50-50 you're going to like have sand all over the mod, no matter how hard you try not to. And then you're also bringing like a speaker, right? So if this weird ass device works on the beach, it would actually make for a good device.
Like I want to see the first person to get laid for having a Bluetooth mod speaker. Like that's going to be a weird situation where somebody's like, yeah, no, let's crank out some tunes on my vape, bro. Like, how do you even like make that, like justify that leap? Like if you're at the point in your life where you're at the beach cranking out tunes on your vape mod, like you've made some serious left turns and I kind of admire it.
Yeah, but I mean, that guy, he's vaping a Shindo recipe and he's listening to some douchey music. And, you know, the girl that he's with deserves to be with him. If you're not having fun today, folks, I don't know what. This is the best e-juice vaping show in town.
I've been single flavor testing a bunch of vape train. I've been doing that for a while. That's been fun.
Rest in peace, DIY or Dime podcast.
Yeah, the last show's come up this Thursday, so y'all should probably tune in. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to get stabbed live on camera.
And Noted's going to run out of flavors before we run out of jokes and witty punchlines.
DIY is dead. Smoking is the future.
DIY is dead.
We're going to be coming out with some MixLife branded flavored cigarillos.
I'm pretty sure Rip Trippers died a few months ago. There's just they're cobbling together old footage.
Like they have a bunch of the also ran like vape YouTubers like using them like Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, it's like JSL Vapes Labs is using Rip Trippers body.
See, the Ego AIO pregnancy test stick, so vapors don't usually have to worry about pregnancy tests.
No, you're thinking of this wrong. It needs to be like suntan oil / vape thing. Pill holder / vape.
You just have like a sliding compartment for the Xanax you stole from your grandma's medicine cabinet.
They're not Xanax. They're like suppository, like digestive pills, but they're white, so you think they're drugs. And you're gonna feel something tonight. Shout out to your fake drugs, you loser.
That was my attempt to get everything back on track, and it's just crashed and burned horribly. Anybody have any questions in the chat?
Look, we talked about hardware, folks. We talked about recipes. We talked about drama. Can you hear the thunder going on over here?
Yeah, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Okay. So the last 2 days, there's been these like dry thunderstorms where it's not even really raining, but like deathly lightning striking all around. Like where you're in the house and all the lights go down because the lightning is hit so close that it's brought the power out of the house. So the TV doesn't turn off. It just goes like dim, and all the lights go dim at the same time. It's the lightning strike capital of the world is South Florida down here. And where I live, I had lived further inland about like 30 minutes, and the lightning out there is like terrifying. Just that 30-minute drive difference of getting more away from the beach. I mean, this shit's crazy. It strikes right outside where you'll feel like electricity in the air. Like you won't get struck, but like the air will feel crazy. It's a wild place.
That's just God trying to tell South Florida something.
I think it's good that it's going to be underwater in 10 years. I think that's the future here.
Yeah, you got to start moving inland now as the beaches just erode away.
Like the hurricane last year, if we were to get one of those every 2 years, Florida would be done in like within 5 or 6 years because it took out power in the whole state. And then it started working on Georgia, but it was almost like they turned the fucking power off because in like a minute, all Florida was off. And it took them 20 days to get the power back up, which at the time we were like, oh my God, 20 days, that's forever. But like Puerto Rico still doesn't have power. So I'm very happy to live in a state that has a Trump property that backs up. It increases my survival rate during natural disasters drastically, apparently.
Yeah, be glad you're not in Puerto Rico.
And I'm glad, and I'm just glad that he didn't really pick on the name Florida as being Hispanic, because that could have gone bad. So,
like the whole thing about Florida, like I wonder at what point, with hurricanes becoming more frequent, like the insurance market is basically going to render Florida an uninhabitable wasteland when they stop like paying out for claims and stuff.
Okay, so when you walk, have you ever been in bushes or like they call it thicket, basically, where like you can't fucking go a foot without like a machete. Like there's just no way that you could move forward without it poking you up and your shirt getting caught. Do you know?
Yeah, I try to stay inside in general, but yeah, I've been in some situations.
Okay, so that is everything from about 10 miles on the west side of Florida to 10 miles on the east side of Florida. Everything south of probably about, like an hour south of Orlando, all the way to the bottom of Florida, is this thick, marshy swamp, like a thicket. You couldn't walk through it. So the people that originally moved here were like, this is a good place to hang out. Like these Indians would like cross the whole state of Florida with like machetes. And like, it's insane. The mosquitoes down here. There's like a Naked and Afraid where the girls, they go down to the Everglades, and the next day the girl has like 300 mosquito bites on her body, like just trashed. Like you can't be outside down here.
It doesn't seem like a place that's safe for human habitation in general.
Yeah, it's got that Australia vibe. Like shit can kill you. Like there was a hurricane in the 20s, like Christmas Day, I think, and they didn't know it was coming. They didn't have the technology at the time. So everyone just went to bed. And it was like one of the most deadly hurricanes in Miami, just leveled Miami. Because they had no way to know it was coming. What's going on vaping? We're still doing it. We're still talking about it. That's what's going on. I have my tickets to Vegas booked. I will be in Vegas November 9th, 10th, and 11th. So you can catch me there. We're going to have a good time. We will be there mixing on the spot. We're going to have Liquid Barn basic, like hundreds of them. So if you show up, we can give you one shots. You can leave with some of our one shots from chefs. Save the shipping and the 2 weeks shipping time. So it's cool. It's going to be a fun time. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited too. I have to figure out how I'm going to hitchhike down to Florida. Nobody really wants me. Florida on the brain, I guess.
Yeah.
Need to hitchhike down to Las Vegas. Nobody really wants me on a plane, so we'll see how many hand jobs I have to give.
Copel's right there. He can pick you up.
Then I just have to give. Then I have to give Chris hand jobs the entire way down, and I don't have that kind of forearm strength. I got a feeling that shit's real desensitized. You know what I mean?
He's wearing the wizard hat the whole way. Shout out to Concrete River's internet connection. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful, folks?
It's like living in the future. Like, I don't think people understand how excited I was for it. I've been living on the world's worst DSL because I live in the middle of nowhere. But shout out to like rural grants and shit because our local cable company actually got fiber connections in, and I'm paying about the same amount that I was for this beautiful, crisp internet connection.
It's fantastic. All right, let's talk about some flavors. I got milkshake base. Seems more like milkshake spice.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to have all the milkshake in there.
Yeah, so I've been fucking around with that milkshake base quite a bit. Actually, I did like a little video review on it, but I was on Fresh's show yesterday messing around with it, and it will thicken up and add some malt to creams, but if you mix it with an ice cream, it kind of mushes up the ice cream, and it acts like a really nice bridge between cream and ice cream flavors, and kind of gives it a milkshake vibe.
Gotcha. So it's almost like milkshake magic.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like I've been talking about it. Australia obviously doesn't know what the word base means because it doesn't do at all what you think it would. But if you use it at like a lower percentage, like it helps to like mush your disparate cream flavors and ice cream flavors into a cohesive milkshake experience.
And I would say pudding base is the same way. It's like a pudding magic. It's something you would add as a finisher almost. Like I could take Flavora pudding and add like a little bit of that pudding base, and it'd probably be all right.
Well, that pudding base, I think it's a bread pudding base.
You say that is for the. So you do. What would you do? Like Salubarome bread?
I've been using it a lot. Like I would use Cap Cereal 27 for like AP kind of note that isn't just burnt corn chips. And so using it at a fairly low percentage behind like bakeries and stuff to add a little bit more depth and warmth to them.
What's your go-to bakery nowadays? Pound cake, or where are we at with bakeries? Because it's changing, right? Where the biscuit isn't the thing.
Biscuit's fallen off a little bit. I don't know. I use a lot of Flavor Arts apple pie. If I can get away with it, I still like actually vaping yellow cake quite a bit. I know that we're not supposed to anymore, but yeah, I don't vape a lot of bakeries, and so when I'm making one for myself, I'll just say fuck it and add yellow cake.
Yeah, I've been using. So I found a really good note where they were talking about the graham cracker. Using the Flavor West as a bakery base, even if you don't need graham cracker. So if you're gonna do like a pie, adding some of that graham cracker as like body.
Yeah, I could actually see that pudding base working, like that pudding base at 0.5% working really well with like 4 or 5% flavorless graham cracker too.
Yeah. I went with golden syrup. That's the other part to this.
Ah,
So it's like the golden syrup is part of what I've built out. It's like a honey layer. It's like a honey layer, graham cracker layer. And then I'm just kind of fucking with those until they both taste right. But with hers, it was an accident, and I went too high on the honey, and it came out almost like a spiced honey with the Capella honey, which I like because Capella honey reminds me of this old. They used to sell these like blunt wraps that were like honey flavored, and that was the smell of like the '90s of what honey was in like a flavored cigar or whatever.
yeah.
So to me, when I think of like vaping honey, I don't want to actually vape honey. I want to vape this flavor that matches what I called honey in the '90s, which is Capella honey, and I like it. I'll get it up to like 2% and be just fine with it. So it's a weird love I have for that flavor.
Honey is weird, like the entire concept of a honey flavor, because when people say honey, they don't want an actual honey flavor. Like they want, like I've been using like butterscotch ripple and shit to sub in for honey, just because people just want like dark sweetness. They don't want like the floral overtones and all that other stuff that you get with like good varietal honey. They just want like a slightly darker version of sugar.
Right. That's the same thing like ID10T with the caramel flavora as brown sugar. Man, I heard him say that on one of his, I think, caramel noted or something. And if you go grab your flavora caramel, it is perfect brown sugar. And like he wrote brown sugar on a piece of paper and taped it over. And I started using brown sugar TPA, and the more I use it, the more I notice it. And it's just so much chemical and so little brown sugar that I even went back and phased it out of old recipes. Like I think I have one circus cobbler. I had one like a tobacco one that had it, and I just phased it out, or I'd sub it with the flavor caramel because it's so much more realistic. And you know, it just, you want brown sugar, but it doesn't give you brown sugar if you use it. So anytime I see someone using it, I just like feel bad for them. Like, you should be using Ketamel.
Yeah, the brown sugar thing, like it's a good idea in theory, but yeah, in practice, it's a little bit rough. It's easy to, yeah. Steep time on brown sugar. Yeah, it has a long steep time, and then it's just kind of a weird flavor. I don't know.
It is a weird flavor. It makes it chemically. Like it adds an off note that you could have layers of caramel and all kinds of other stuff, and it still is there.
Well, it's like the weird part of toasted marshmallow by TPA. You
Exactly.
know, like that toasted marshmallow weirdness just does odd things, and I feel like brown sugar has some of that same stuff. Like it does impart a sensation of warmth, but it's kind of like a weird chemical warmth.
Yeah, the same with like marshmallow. I wish fucking Nick Salt's got me dying.
Hey, it's the future. Everybody should vape 60 milligram Dick salts and just deal with the fact that your chest collapses.
Yeah. What I thought was great, almost killed the power on the whole show. That was fun. Okay, so what I thought was great was I have a friend of mine. He's a DJ, and his girlfriend both have been vaping 2.5 years. They're simple vapors. They like to keep it like bottle of strawberry and cream. He's hooked on the Heisenberg flavor. So like they're very simple with their vape. They both vape 6 milligram. Like one bottle, 30 mil will last a month. Okay. They buy a Juul. They think the Juul is 5 milligram. because it says 5. if you look on the
5%, right?
They rank 5.0%. Yeah. So she's like, oh, it's 5 milligram. They've got like fucking like 4 of these 4-packs of mint just completely cashed through, like gone. Like they're just like empty packages on their table from just crazily vaping through mint jewel pods.
You got any more cool mint, man?
And I go, you know, those are 50 milligram, right? That's why they give you such a good hit. And she's like, no, they're 5. I'm like, no, they aren't. I'm like, those are 50. And she's like, well, that explains my cough. And then why I freak out when I don't have these way more than the normal vape. So, you know, if it's happening to her, I bet it's happening to a lot of people where they think she thought she was doing the right thing because she thought she was stepping from a 6 to a 5. And then the convenience factor of the Juul plus the thinking that I'm doing better health-wise, they were ready to do like a full switch to Juul, not knowing they jumped to 50. Yeah. So.
Well, and then like Juul's supposed to be coming out with lower nicotine pods, and I'm sorry, but like the value proposition for Juul, like it's a more expensive way to vape in general. And then they're going to be selling you low nicotine pods, but it's really hard to like justify like that amount of money for that little liquid if it isn't just kicking you straight in the side of the head.
Right. And that's, so I'm convinced the Juul market is a temporary beast. It's got this market for a moment, but it's going to lose. I think the Juul is going to get hit with the FDA, and I think that's what they're referring to when they say smarter medical options or new nicotine replacement therapies that need to be behind the counter type of thing. I think the Juul device is going to be forced to the pharmaceutical side and have to be a pharmacy product, right? That's what I foresee happening.
So it's going to start being covered by health insurance, and the price is going to go up by 20 times.
Right.
Have to have a prescription for your Juul pods, and insurance pays part of the like $200 per Juul copay.
Right, and then they're going to have their money that they want, and then big tobacco's able to like fill their space back up with tobacco products that they've created. Their smoke a cigarette in your vape thing they got, so they get their shelf space back, and then they're going to turn us into the smoke shop style. So it's like 18 up. You can't have windows on your doors. They have to be black. You have to ID, that kind of shit for regular vape products. And all these vape shops that are kind of like cool hangout spots are going to get shut down. So I think you're going to see a split of the market like that, where if it's got nic salt in it, it's considered a pharmacy device. Because you wait and see how quick they come after nicotine salt as being the real enemy of the Juul, right? Because what's happening is they're releasing nicotine salt products right now on the vape side. Well, that's a reformulation. That's a technical new product, but that's not a new PMTA app that's going out. That's just them sneaking that shit through right now, right? So the FDA is going to come back and say, the epidemic of the Juuls spreading to the vape world. It's the nic salts, and those need to be regulated. They're going to go after nic salt, and then us as freebase will keep doing what it does and just be something you can order. And then the only thing I see for regular nicotine would be maybe you need a wholesale account, like a commercial vendor wholesale account. But if you guys have ever ordered anything wholesale, you know that's pretty easy to get a hold of or whatever.
Yeah, it's just generally filing some paperwork. You're gonna like if they do go after freebase at all, you're gonna see a whole bunch of like weird DIY freebase cooperatives where somebody just buys it, busts it down, and fucking sends it back out. I mean, if you're with if you're with the FDA legally, you have to stop watching right now. Guess I said so. But yeah, as long as we can still get our hands on freebase nicotine fairly easily, like that's the only part that really worries me for any of the DIY stuff.
How many times have you gotten into like a looped conversation with some other sketchy looking guy where you're both like, "Hey man, if you're a cop, you gotta tell me," and then he looks he looks back at you and says, "Hey man, if you're a cop, you gotta tell me," and this goes on for like 5 minutes before you both feel comfortable with each other to continue on with whatever you were up to. How often does that happen, Concrete?
It just involves a Mexican standoff. There's lots of guns. I usually break those by just engaging with some physical contact, maybe like a nice deep kiss. Because if they're a cop, they're not going to kiss me on the lips. So that's how I can tell.
You go in for the tight hug with the icon, never breaking the eyes.
So have you heard of the Monk system?
Monk system.
Sounds like a rhythm birth control method.
Say therapeutic air.
Yeah. No.
Oh, that's bullshit. I've seen that. I know what it is. It's bullshit. They're trying to sell the essential oils as being something that'll affect you. It's kind of like I can't remember what it's called, where they sell the medicine in like tiny little doses, and it's supposed to
like micro dosing everything. And
yeah, this is like that because we already know that stuff doesn't really affect you. So you're vaping eucalyptus, lime, and tangerine for $20. Like that sucks.
Yeah, it's just like I get that everybody's trying to like figure out some way to get some benefits out of aerosolizing things, but like the personal vaporizer is actually a pretty good piece of technology, and it seems like we don't need to fuck with it all that much.
It's funny on like on the cannabis side, they're back on the original like 510 tiny cheap battery, tiny little cart type of thing. So it's funny because it's like a new industry that's birthing, and they're having to start from zero too, because the cannabis oil is so thick compared to like this, the e-juice. It's going to take a whole entire development of products and systems that don't even exist right now. But that's, you think vaping's big right now. Wait until all these states that are just starting to hit legalization pick up, and everybody's vaping. Everybody's got a battery cart and a battery, and they're vaping their CBD oil, they're vaping their THC, whatever, and then they're like, well, I should stop smoking these cigarettes, and I already have the battery, and I already have, so I think vaping is still a baby, and it's easy to assume that it's big because, hey, it's bigger than it was when you guys started being into the industry, and then now it's smaller because of the FDA stuff. So it's like, oh, that was its wave. I don't think so. I think this is the very beginning. We are the founders of vaping.
Well, I think it's funny because depending on how the regulatory chips shake out, it's going to be easier to vape cannabis products than it will be to vape nicotine products, and that's bizarre to me.
Yeah, and even that industry, flavoring wise, is like stupid simple. Like grape, strawberry. I'm researching into this product. I found the guy that made it. So there's this product where he claims there's no PEG 400. There's an emulsifier in it that is a food grade standard emulsifier. And then you're supposed to be able to mix that with any wax or oil and turn it into a e-juice ready product. But like it just says emulsifier. There's no ingredient. So what are we talking?
emulsifier, they're probably using triethyl or sodium citrate because that's the big food grade emulsifier.
And you could get away with vaping?
Yeah, I think you can. I don't know about sodium citrate, but triethyl citrate's in fucking a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah. So but he knows something because I was scoping the page and he got into a back and forth with somebody. And he's like, these are all the things they're putting in it right now across the industry. Like they're using MCT oil, they're using all kinds of cutting agents. And he was like, I want to use any of these. So I was like, all right, he knows his shit. He's got a lot of industry friends. So it may be, if it's a good product, it would be a game-changing product because you could, medicate all your e-juice without the PEG 400 flavor ruining all your flavoring. So I'm going to research this guy more and see if I can get, more info from him of if this is some janky ghetto way of doing it or if this is some brand new innovative thing that's going to change the game. So I'll report back.
I think I almost made a joke about Presbyterian birth control, but I stopped myself. The version of Presbyterian birth control is paying for your mistress to get an abortion. That's fine though. Don't worry about
it. I was gonna tell a Presbyterian birth control joke, but they wouldn't get it. Yeah. Doesn't Concrete's internet is the star of the show today, folks. Star of the show.
Let's hear it for rural fiberification. Like, that's awesome. This is the best internet I've ever had, and I live in the middle of nowhere. So,
yeah,
shout out to whoever put that grant out there.
It's hard to get too because there was an Obama era policy for fiber. I think it was Vox Media, if you want to watch a 15-minute video on rural fiber internet laws, which I did, which was interesting. The deal with it is that they had this, Fiber America, increase the bandwidth in America rule, but it was going to require the fiber companies to lay fiber in places where there weren't enough customers to make them a ton of money, rural areas, right? And they don't want to do that. So Trump era, they rolled this thing back where their definition of what internet access is like cut in half, where they can get away with not deploying the fiber everywhere. So then the fact that you were able to get fiber in this day and age is lucky because the chances of getting fiber if you live in a rural area have declined drastically lately.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was probably something that had been put in motion a while ago because I'm on a local ISP. Like, we're out in the middle of nowhere. Like, there aren't enough people out here to even have Comcast come out and try to like bend us over a barrel. So it's all like a local co-op at this point.
Yeah, you know where the black site's at now because you have great freaking internet for no reason.
Dude, it's cool too being on a local ISP because they're super transparent with their terms and stuff, and they actually disclose that, yeah, we don't give a shit what you do until somebody tells us that we have to. We don't store your data, all that other stuff, because they're just a little local ISP.
Yeah, there's an entire like operating center in Nevada that's government run. And they have backdoor access to all of the social. So the way you would type someone's profile, but when they type it in, it's user side. So the way you see your profile, that's what they see. So they can look at your messages, they can look at your pictures, they can everything. And they have full access to that shit. And then the government's like, well, we don't give them access, but I read a whole magazine interview article where they talk about this place. And how
I got a lot of manifestos I have to take down now that you say that.
It's like shit. Maybe Tumblr wasn't the best place to air out my grievances at the post office.
Nah, shout out to the post office, man.
How many DIY vaping people are accidentally flagged as aggressive against the post office just because they're fiending for nicotine and cracking out about nicotine river deliveries? And they're tagged as yelling at post office weekly.
They're on some sort of watch list because their deliveries didn't come in on the right schedule.
Yeah. Prone to be raging at male post office figures.
Well, on that note,
others are quitting. They're going to marry people. Other people, they're doing what they do in their shows with their girls and stuff and talking about flavors. We don't do that. We don't do nothing that you want us to do. We're just here. It's MixLife. E-juice makers. You know what it is. Yeah. I got people still emailing me pissed off about MixLife not working. And I'm like, dude, you open this app in a year. Now you're opening it and you're realizing it doesn't work. But I don't know. ejuicemakers.com, the best website ever created.
In the history of websites.
In the history of websites. I mean, we hit the top. We topped it out. Everyone else is just copying us. What can you do? But you should visit there. Visit every day. Bookmark it. Make it your homepage. Help our web stat traffic. Show Google who knows what they're talking about. I keep kicking this power cable that's the plug to the whole operation, and the lights flicker. So if we go down quick, that's what happened. All right, folks, this is 68 hours of MixLife. Send help, food, water, shelter. Come to Vegas. Save up your money. Come to Vegas. We're going to be there. We're going to have a good time. We're going to finish the year in style. Shout out to Shindo's mom. We're going to get you a GoFundMe pretty soon to get you a cardboard box that's worthwhile. And I think that's it. MixLife 68. Thank you to Concrete for showing up. Thank you to the others for not. Have a great day.